We're talking to Major Moore and Cadet Wing Commander Johnson, dealing with the AFROTC program at Tennessee State University. And of course, ladies, before we had our break, we promised that we would give you an opportunity to talk about some other aspects of the AFROTC program. But I think it's obvious to our audience this morning that the two of you are females. And so let's have you to talk about females in the AFROTC program, not only here at Tennessee State University, but exactly how are they received, females received within the Corps and within service itself. Let's do it from that perspective over the last 7-8 minutes that we have here. Major Moore.
Thank you. We consider all our students cadets. We do not differentiate male, female. They are all cadets. Everyone is treated the same, and that is how we mirror active duty. Everyone is treated with respect and dignity no matter what their gender is. Currently we have about 110 students in our program, of which about 28% are females. We're always trying to raise that, and every year it changes just a little bit. Of the 364,000 people in the Air Force, enlisted and officer, they're currently about 19% female, and of the pilots in the Air Force, which comprise about 18% of the Air Force, about 4% are females. And Cadet Johnson and I were discussing today, of all the jobs in the Air Force, 99% of them are open to women. So at no time have I ever felt any discrimination as a female. I think I've received equal treatment, and it does not matter what my race is or what my gender, and it's really been a very nice experience because I haven't just experience some of the things that people do in the civilian workforce. And that's how we treat minorities, women, everyone, all the same.
So it's all across the board. Is that what we're saying, Cadet Johnson, in reference to treatment of females in the service? What about treatment in the Corps at the level that you're in now?
Sir, it's just the same. It's an equal opportunity throughout. The way that I want to earn respect and gain respect is I have to respect those under me, no matter your sex, race, creed, whatever. That's one thing. It's just the way that I actually gained my position. I had to actually compete against guys and females, males and females, but we were all actually judged as equally as possible. That's one thing. It's not just because you're a female, you're a male, or because you're black or white, but we're all cadets. And I wasn't given as slack as, you know, everybody else. We were all treated the same. So I wasn't treated unfairly or lowly or anything like that. We were all up there with high standards. And if you want to get into that position, you have to compete. And that's one thing. I don't mind competing at all.
Okay. And of course, Major, what she's saying here is that as far as leadership is concerned, that you as her supervisor sort of will make evaluations in terms of her leadership, whether without regard of race, creed, or color, or anything. Is that what we're saying here? Yes.
And what's neat about our cadre staff is we have 2 males and 2 females, 2 Caucasian, 2 African Americans. So we try to represent the Cadet Corps. We evaluate the students exactly as we are evaluated on active duty. We actually do a company grade officer performance report on our junior and senior cadets. And those are the same type of reports that lieutenants and captains receive on active duty. So we want them to know what they're getting ready to go through once they get on active duty, regardless of their career field. And there are some career fields that are definitely outnumbered by men, and possibly civil engineering, which Ms. Johnson may go into, may be one of those, but her commander will treat her no different. She will be a civil engineer on active duty 30 days after she graduates from Tennessee State University.
And so everything is really worked toward trying to bring about leadership characteristics regardless of race, creed, or color, or anything. Is that it?
Yes, we have what we call core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all that we do. So we expect that of all of our cadets, and we hold our cadets on a higher plane than a typical college student. We do not allow them to do drugs. If they do drugs, they will be kicked out of our program and never allowed to enter the military. They are not allowed to lie, cheat, or steal. Actually, every time they take an examination with us, they have to sign a statement saying that exact thing, that they have not cheated on our tests. So we expect quite a bit of our students. If someone has too many traffic tickets or speeding tickets or some type of civil involvement, we do not allow them in our program. If they have had a lot of civil involvements even before they join, if they have used drugs, many times we do not allow them to join our program because we're looking for the best leaders. We are looking for technical people to run our Air Force, our air and space program today. And that's another neat thing. Women have been allowed in the space program for quite a while. Several years ago, Lieutenant Colonel Eileen Collins was the commander of the space shuttle, and that's something that I always look forward to seeing Cadet Johnson someday, because I believe she will probably end up working for NASA, and I hope to see her up in space someday too.
Okay, Bev, do you expect to go up in space?
Oh, yeah, that's one of my high goals. That's really one of my high goals to actually work for, obtain. And the only person that can stop myself is just only me. And that's one thing. I always have that goal of actually towards NASA, going towards NASA. So I can't wait to obtain it.
You know, Major, I think that recently you mentioned the fact that one of the members of your staff was preparing to go to a pilot school. Let's talk about that. I would imagine that there are so many young people who might be watching this show this morning and who might be encouraged by the fact that they might be able to fly one of those large airplanes. I mean, what would they have to do in order to become involved in flying one of those airplanes?
Well, they would have to meet all our standards that I discussed earlier, and they would actually have to be on contract with us. They have to decide they're going to be an officer in the Air Force first, and then later on we compete them to be a pilot. They take a test that I mentioned earlier called the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test. Their pilot and navigator scores of that test are very important. They also take another test called the Basic Attributes Test, which is done on a computer, but it tests your hand-eye coordination. There are four things. The third thing is the commander's ranking. That is about 50% of the pilot categorization. Are they a good cadet? Do they come to fundraisers? Do they come to class every week? Do they come to the little things that nobody might want to do? Do they volunteer? And the last thing is flying hours. And many students don't have a lot of flying hours unless they're in a pilot type major at TSU or MTSU, but sometimes they can gain those flying hours on the outside by getting their private pilot's license. But even if they don't have a lot of hours, the 50% commander's ranking can make quite a bit of difference. So we do usually get a lot of pilot slots at Tennessee State. We are hoping that we can incorporate more with the AIT major at Tennessee State so that we can get more pilots and more black pilots. We are looking for black pilots in the Air Force, and we hope that we can continue to generate that interest.
Now, you mentioned pilot slots. What does that mean? Does that mean a certain quota that has been assigned to the detachment in reference to pilots and et cetera?
We don't know how many pilot slots we're going to get, but we usually do about 90% of our applicants end up achieving a pilot slot, meaning when they commission, they are going to go to undergraduate pilot training or UPT. And that training is about a year long, and then they find out what type of aircraft they're going to fly, and they go on there for more specialized training.
And of course, Cadet Johnson, when they complete this successful Air Force enlistment, they can also come back into civilian life and use the skills that they've gathered there. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir. We actually have a 4-year commitment in the United States Air Force, and after 4 years, the companies are there to grab you because they really want those engineers, those managers, those people who have the leadership qualities, and those are the Air Force people. So after 4 years, your 4-year commitment, you can actually get out and people will actually grab you. The companies want you. For me, I probably would take this as a career, go probably 20 to 30 years or so like that. So that's my goals and aspirations.
And of course, you've had several people from this detachment who have gone into the senior ranks, have we not, in this detachment?
Yes, one of our most famous people is General Lloyd Fig Newton, as people call him, and I think he graduated from Tennessee State University in 1966, and he went on to be a 4-star general, and he is just a great individual and a great mentor and someone that our students can look up to and hope to be like. And we have had several other general officers, too, that have come to our detachment in the last year to speak, both females. So it doesn't matter, like I said, what your gender or your race is. If you're a good leader and you work hard, you can make it.
And so you would encourage Cadet Johnson, any person who might have the skills that they believe necessary and who might not have adequate financial resources to check into the AFROTC program at Tennessee State
Yes,
University.
sir, I always do. Every single person that passes by who seems like they need some kind of financial help, I always tell them, have you ever thought about the Air Force ROTC? And you know, they thinking about war stuff. I'm like, no, these are the leadership skills that you actually obtain, and you can actually take this to a job. You probably will get after your 4-year commitment. I mean, these scholarships are there laying on the table for you. You have to just go out there and get it. And that's what this scholarship has helped me out a lot, because right now, my friends, they're looking for jobs. I already tell them I already have a job waiting for me upon graduation, and that's one thing I'm proud about.
And plus, you're getting about $400 a month,
yes,
too,
sir.
is it?
Yes, sir.
Which also helps out there.
That's one thing that actually help out. Put in savings. That's the biggest thing. Invest the money, because as I go on active duty, that money will be there. And that's what I love.
And so, Major, during the last 20 seconds here, what we're saying here is that they come in, they get a free scholarship, they get money to go with that, and then after that they're promised a job, and et cetera, and et cetera. And so that's about the best deal on any college campus, I would imagine. Is that true?
Yes, and we encourage people to call 963-5931 if they're interested too.
And thank you, the two of you, and let us encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.